Good morning, Craig Howard here. I was reading about Mark Zuckerberg, how he is trying to establish or how he's trying to build a virtual 3D system that will literally let you live in somebody else's shoes, so to speak. So, if you want to know what it's like to live in a poor village in Africa, you can be in a poor village in Africa in this virtual reality, this VR system. And the idea that he has behind it is that he wants to let people walk in other people's shoes and feel empathy towards, instead of just feeling sympathy, feeling empathy, actually understanding what they're going through. So you can, go live in a poor village in India, or you can understand the fears and the concerns of a mother in West Africa who is trying to keep her children from contracting malaria. You can understand the feelings of a father in East Africa who maybe is trying to protect his family from rebel fighters that are raiding all the villages around, and the concern that he's feeling for his family, or the fear that he has of being dragged off and forced into that army. Um, you can go live on the street in New York City, any number of these places. And while to some people that sounds like an exciting adventure, you're missing the point. Um, as believers, we're supposed to share in the hurts and the concerns and the feelings and the fears of other people, and kind of put ourselves in their place, and be willing to serve them in the place that they're at. um, Paul, writing in the book of Second Corinthians chapter 11, he goes down through his sufferings and what he's gone through, and all the things that he's dealt with. And then finally in verse 27, he talks about being beaten and being shipwrecked, and his imprisonments and all of that. Then in verse 27 he says, I have labored and toiled and have often gone without sleep. I have known hunger and thirst and have gone without food. I have been cold and naked. And beside everything else, I face daily the pressure of my concern for all the churches. Who is weak, and I do not feel weak? Who is led into sin, and I do not burn inwardly? And he's saying, if I'm going to boast, I'm going to boast of the things that show my weakness. But what it boils down to is he's saying, I've put myself in those positions. Now, I'm going to admit that this devotional, to a limited degree, is maybe for some that are a little bit younger, but not necessarily. Um, I'm 62. Uh, Other friends of mine are in their 70s that I've known that have done this. But one of the things that I've done is got outside my little comfortable world. I've spent time in Central America, Africa, Romania, Jamaica, and I don't mean Jamaica on vacation. I mean the poor side of Jamaica, serving at a school for the deaf. Um, I've traveled to places in the world where there is very little. I've seen leper colonies and talked to the people that lay in those beds. Um, I've come to understand that I'm blessed. I've spoken to the homeless in New York City and served them food at a homeless shelter. And I'm not telling you these things to boast by any means. I'm saying sometimes we need to get outside of our comfortable little bubble. And for those of you who can, when we're able to do it again, when the world permits us to begin to travel again safely, go serve on a short-term mission group. Go serve in a soup kitchen in New York City or Chicago or Philadelphia or Washington, D.C. I worked at a homeless shelter in Washington, D.C., right outside of Chinatown. And it was an amazing experience, and got to meet a man who stared down the barrel. A little Irish guy who had been sent there to clean up this house that was owned by the church and make it into a homeless shelter. And the drug lords that controlled that part of the city came rolling in there and pointed a gun in his face and said, "This is our house." And it had been used as a crack house. They'd kind of taken it over. Said, "This is our house." And he looked at them with all of the confidence of the power of the Holy Spirit. And he said, it's like this. God sent me here to clean this place up and to put it back into use for his glory. Now he said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean it up, and I'm going to make it a place where people can learn to do jobs that'll help them get jobs. I'm going to make it a place where people can come and be safe from the cold. So he said, you have a decision to make. He said, you can either pull the trigger on that thing and send me on to glory. And he said, I'm fine with that. Or he said, you can put that thing down and help me clean this place up. Which is it going to be? You know what? They put the gun down and helped him clean it up. I remember we were cleaning an old couch out of the place, putting it, and we said, where were we going to put this thing? He said, put it out front. We'll put a sign on it, free to a good home. He said they'd steal it anyway. You can't get those experiences. You can't get that perspective sitting in the comfort of your home. Now, I understand for some of you, health may not permit you to go to places like that and do things like that. And I confess it's harder for me now than it was a few years ago, but I still am going to go. But I want you to realize that there are needs around you. There's a local food pantry nearby that serves the needs of the people in your community, I'm sure. Find ways. I need volunteers that will help with the vaccination clinics coming up, and it's going to be an ongoing process. And right now I only have, I think, 7 volunteers. So I need help there. Please call me, 304-668-1731. I actually put my phone number out there if you're willing to help. But listen, don't just sit in the comfort of your home and think, I understand what other people are going through. Let your empathy grow by getting out there and serving Christ and seeing what the other person lives like. Hope you have a great day. God bless you in all that you do. I will see you Monday. It's Friday already, isn't it? God bless.